Hey guys, it's Kyla at the MJC, and I am back continuing on our journey for the marital settlement agreement without minor children. We're getting towards the end here. In this video, we're going to talk about the equalization of marital property and the taxes, and then one more video and we'll be done. All right, so before I get started, as always, just a reminder that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It's a video, so I can't analyze your situation. I can't determine whether you're likely to get what you're asking for or whether what you're asking for is in your best interest. So if you have those kinds of questions, I definitely recommend that you get some legal advice. Here in Milwaukee, you can get brief legal advice through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're not in Milwaukee County, you can contact your clerk of court to find out about resources available in your county. All right, so looking at equalization here. Equalization of marital property is basically a fancy way of saying in all of the sections we did before this, the asset section and the debt section and the maintenance section and all of the sections that my previous videos in this series have been on, we talked about how you guys are proposing to divide up your stuff. If you feel like one person got a lot more stuff than the other person, you can say that the person who got more has to pay the person who got less to make it equal. If you are happy enough with the way you are proposing to divide stuff, then you can just check number 1, which is saying that no payment is required, and then you can either say, because A, we are happy enough with the way we divided our stuff above, or B, if you sold real estate and one party got, half of the proceeds or more than half of the proceeds, and that is what made it equal, then you can check B. And we find that most people end up checking 1A. They're just saying, we came to this agreement, we're happy enough with it. But what if you are one of those sets of people where you guys do have an agreement to make a payment? And I should note, because this is the joint paperwork or the stipulated paperwork, depending on how you did part 1, this has to be an agreement. So it can't be a situation where I think my ex should pay me, but my ex doesn't think they should have to pay me. In that situation, you would probably be contested if you guys disagree about whether equalization is required. But for our purposes, we're going to look at you guys agree. So here you're going to check number 2, and you're going to put how much the payment is required to be. So whatever number you guys have agreed is necessary to make this division fair. So we'll say $1,000 here, but it can be $1 or it can be $1 million, whatever it is you guys agree to. And then you're going to say who has to make the payment. So essentially, who got more stuff? So if it is joint petitioner A, or again, remember if you are filing stipulated, that's the original petitioner, or joint petitioner B, or for our stipulated folks, the respondent. And so we can either say joint petitioner A got more, so they need to pay $1,000 to joint petitioner B. That's going to be number 1 here. Or we can say joint petitioner B got more, so they need to pay joint petitioner A. And so you can check 2 if that's the case. So in our situation, we'll say that Jane needs to pay John because he took on a lot of their debt. But it could be however you guys have agreed. And then you can either say this payment was made. So if Jane already sent that $1,000 to John, we can say it was made, we're good. If the payment hasn't been made yet, then you have 2 options here. You can either say it needs to be made in a lump sum, so Jane needs to pay that whole $1,000 to John by a deadline, and you'll write in whenever that deadline is here. Or if you know, so we know, let's say Jane can't pay $1,000 all at once. Then you guys could agree and say Jane is going to pay a monthly payment, a monthly installment of $1,000 a month. And again, you're going to put the date that it begins until it is paid in full. And then under C, you're going to put if, basically, is it going to earn interest? So if you don't want it to earn interest, you can just say 0. And then it can either be from the date of the final hearing or the date that the payment was due, whichever you guys prefer. Or if you're wanting it to be a percent, then whatever annual percent you've agreed to, maybe it's going to have a super high percent because you guys are serious or whatever. You can have whatever percent you want. And then again, just is the percent calculated from the date of the final hearing or from the date that the payment was due? And you can pick whichever works best for you guys. The next section is taxes. So what this section is asking about is about whether you have any previous tax returns that still need to be filed. So if you have old taxes that you haven't filed or that need to be amended or that need to be dealt with in some way, then you're going to select B. So I guess I should start with, what do you do if everything's been filed? If you have filed all the taxes like you were supposed to, you don't have any years of taxes that need to be filed. And that's together or separately. So does anyone have outstanding taxes that still need to be filed? If the answer is nope, we have filed all of our taxes like we are supposed to, you're going to check A, and that's it. You're done with this section. If you have one of you or both of you still have some taxes that need to be filed, you're going to check B. And then with B, you have two options. You can either say you are going to share the preparation expenses and share the liability or refund for those old taxes that still need to be filed. If so, you'll check A. You'll check 1. But we find that a lot of people, either only one of them has filed or they plan to file separately. So what we typically do if you're going to file separately is we say file separately. Separately, if only I could spell. That's not spelled right. Well, hopefully you guys will forgive me my terrible spelling. File separately, and then each responsible for own liability / refund, and you can get the expenses in there, own expenses, liability / refund, or however you want to divide it. So, if you're gonna, share the preparation expenses, but only one or the other of you gets the liability or refund. Whatever you've agreed to, if it's not share everything equally, you can put that on line 2 here. All right, well, that is all for this section. Thank you guys, as always, for watching this video. Thank you for those of you who have hung in through this whole long form. I will be back shortly with the rest of this form. But until then, I hope that you found this video helpful. If you still have questions about filling out the form, you can always visit us in room G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. If you have questions about what you should be asking for, and if you need advice about whether your proposal will be accepted by a court and whether it's in your best interest, you can get free brief legal advice from the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you all go out and represent yourselves well.